We're on our fifth lesson as we walk through the addiction cycle. We looked at our triggers, we looked at cravings, we looked at behavior patterns, and today we're looking at core issues. Core issues. And as we look this week, we all have core issues.
That's right.
And they're like a splinter in your hand. And if you pull a splinter out and if you don't get it all, then that finger gets infected, or at least every time you bump it up against something, it hurts.
Yeah.
We also talked about this week that it's like pulling up a root or pulling up a weed. If you don't get that main tap root, it continues to grow back. And a lot of times we deal with the surface issue instead of the root, and getting down to the cause and conditioning of it, and we don't dig deep enough. And so this week we asked your family members to list at least 10 of what they believe were their core issues, and they wrote them down. And we looked at, now some hinder our functioning, and then others completely debilitate us.
Yeah.
So they wrote down 10 and they split them up into 5s. 5 of them which hinder their life, and 5 of which completely renders them ineffective.
Yeah.
And that's what core issues do. We've been bruised by life. We went through some things, and we deal with the surface issues.
Yeah.
And because this is a disease, that's what we'll be talking about next week, is a disease concept. And we mess up and make the mistake of addressing this thing called addiction the same way we do with a cold. And we're going by cold medicine, and it only addresses the symptoms.
That's right.
You look on the bottle to match up your symptoms with this medicine. Whether it says runny nose, fever, headache, nauseous, whatever. And it will tell you on the box how long that's going to last, whether that's a 12-hour cold pill or a 4-hour cold pill. And just like magic, after that time expires, they come back. And that's the same way we do with our core issues, and we dig up, but we don't get the root, and it comes back. That's why we continue to fall off and don't know why, because we never dealt with the real issue, we just dealt with the symptoms. That make sense?
Yeah.
And we got to get down to the root. If you're tired, you got to do the hard work. That's why they, at the end of the meetings all the time, they say, this thing works if you work it,
Yeah.
and you die if you don't. So work it because you are worth it. And if we are worth it, we would do the hard work. You can't skim the top. I don't know if y'all ever had crabgrass in your yard, and you pull it up, you can actually hear it break apart. And then in a few days, you go back out there, it comes back up. And that's what the addiction cycle is. We'll stay clean for a little while and we fall off. Why? Because that keeps coming back. Because we didn't do the hard work. And sometimes it hurts.
That's right.
You know, we don't think about like plants or whatever as a living thing, but it must hurt to break that root off or to break that plant. And a lot of times we'll go to pulling a little bit, but because of the discomfort, we stop. That makes sense?
Right.
Because we don't want to do the hard work of digging, because a lot of times we look at stuff, it's attached to different things.
Yeah.
Family members, life issues. And so we don't want to pull that up because we got to deal with stuff. And some of it is rooted in our earliest existence.
That's right.
In the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, in one of the stories, this lady says that from her earliest recollection, she never did respond properly to life. From her earliest recollection. And a lot of our issues come from our childhood. Things people said, things people done, and hurt us. So if you look at your paper, it says dealing with core issues, regardless of the kind of abuse, the central damage to an abused person takes predictable forms, the core issues almost always begin with the creation of a distorted image of self. And that's what it is. We don't have a proper view of ourselves.
Yeah.
We either think too highly of ourselves or we think too low of ourselves. But either way, it's distorted. And it's this picture on this commercial, y'all may have seen it. You'll see this little cat. He goes up and he looks into this mirror and he sees a big old lion. Y'all ever seen that? And his image of himself is distorted because when he look in the mirror, he don't see his true self. He sees himself as a big old lion.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the way some of us see ourselves. With our arrogance, we see ourselves bigger than what we really are. And then some of us see ourselves smaller than who we are. And to stay clean, we got to get an accurate assessment of our true self. That makes sense? Instead of getting that distorted image. It says this distorted image is reflected in a distorted image of God. If I have a distorted image of myself, I also have a distorted image of God. And a lot of times that plays itself out like in a couple of ways, but I'll just name a couple. One is we think God's gonna do all of the work for us and we don't have to participate or do nothing. Or we will think that our issue is so deep that not even a loving God can help us. That makes sense? I had the latter, that I thought that I had sinned so bad and I was so low that even God wouldn't fool with me. And that's a distorted image because he came to seek and save that which is lost. He specializes in dealing with people like us.
That's right.
You know, he didn't come for the healthy, he came for the sick. And I was sick. So I hadn't done something so bad that he wouldn't deal with me. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of times it's one or the other. It can be a whole bunch of them, but this is a simple program, they say. We complicate it and try to make it out to be bigger than what it is. And it's really not. That's that difficult. It says, distorted image of others. One way of thinking about recovery is that it is the process, check this out, of distorting the distortions. That's what we got to do. We got to undistort those distortions. Because we have looked at ourselves and we have a distorted image of ourselves, we have a distorted image of God, and we have a distorted image of other people. It's amazing because we are a faith-based program. People have a distorted image of what's supposed to take place here. You know, that, oh, I can do whatever I want to do and y'all supposed to allow me to do it because y'all the church. Or you know, people just think, people don't realize that the churches have one primary way of getting money. That means that people give. And so the distorted image of the church is they just got a whole bunch of money. Well, if ain't nobody giving no money, the church ain't got no money. I tell people all the time, God ain't got pockets. He touched people with pockets and then they put money into play. That's how they work. But we just think God just rained down. No. It ain't that. This is a non-profit. You know what that actually means, non-profit? That it don't make no profit. That means we ain't got no money. So family members have to pay rent. And other people have to give. And even from the rent standpoint, that's only about 1/8 of our budget. The rest of it, I have to go out there and solicit and beg. Ain't got no money. But that's what they pay me to do, to go out and solicit. And God has blessed me to do it fairly well. But we have a distorted image of God and a distorted image of other people and a distorted image of ourselves. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know how I went there, but anyway. Underlying core issues, unfinished business. Underlying core issues can be unresolved, traumatic or impactful events that have not been properly addressed. And that's what normally it is. We've had some trauma in our lives early on. You know, they say And it's a statistical fact. 4 out of 10 men have been abused sexually. They say 6 out of 10 women have been abused sexually. That's trauma.
That's right.
So we come with those issues, and we come with abandonment issues, and we come with low self-esteem issues. So we have a whole bunch of issues that causes us to use. And in the big book, in the doctor's opinion, the way Dr. Silkworth says, he says it like this: non-alcoholics drink for the taste, but alcoholics drink for the effect.
That's it.
What I am trying to do is to avoid something or enhance something.
Yeah.
And that's how we deal with our core issues. I am using because I'm trying to get over something. I'm trying to forget something, this pain in my life. Or I am trying to enhance something because I have a low self-esteem and I don't feel real comfortable in my skin. And then when I get me a little liquor in me, I can be who I want to be. You know, some of us are socially awkward or shy. Boy, but we get us a little liquor, we can be the life of the party,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so we're trying to enhance something or we're trying to avoid something.
I know.
That's the core issue. But what we got to try to find out is, what am I trying to enhance and what am I trying to avoid or cover up? That's what we got to figure out. And life is painful. It doesn't mean that people have necessarily done something real bad or traumatic to us. It's just life hurts. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And so some of us don't have that type of trauma, but it's how you respond to just normal life issues that messes us up one way or another. Say, I'm gonna kind of skip around. It says, underlying core issues can rise from being abused, witnessing abuse, or being the abuser, being abandoned, or going through great loss. They can also stem from thoughts of unworthiness, loneliness, hopelessness, from the collection of events which compromise our lives. And that's just a few of those things that bruise us. It says, after trauma, people generally cope in a number of predictable ways, and we're just going to read a few of them. Acting out, using substance, addictive habits, risky behavior. You know, you ever seen somebody? I was talking to one of the brothers this week, and I said something to him, and he just went off. And I'm like, whoa, I know whatever I said wouldn't garner that type of response. Now later on he says, well, this has been going on with me for 8 years and people have been talking to me or belittling me. And I said, oh, there we go. There we go. Now we at the root. He wasn't mad at me. Whatever I said reminded him of something that took place 8 years ago. And I got the full thrust of all of those people. Because we have a mental list in our head of, I ain't gonna take this no more. I ain't gonna put up with this no more. I ain't gonna deal with this no more. And we live by the wish factor that the next person that says something to me or does something to me is gonna get the full wrath of all of that. And we see that all the time. You ever say something to somebody or see something and you see an overwhelming response and you be like, man, what happened? That's because they're dealing with some stuff from way back and you just happen to be the person that they act out with. And so, but that's unfair to the next person, right? Because nobody wants to pay for all of the abuse or issues that somebody has went through in their life. That's unfair. And so that's why we got to handle our business so that somebody else won't have to pay for this. That's what we got to do. Rationalizing. Minimizing the impact of a situation. Addicts can rationalize and justify anything. We're good at it. I do this because if you hadn't done this, I wouldn't have. You know, it's always somebody else's fault why we do what we do. And a part of the program is us learning how to take responsibility for our own actions.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? What I found out, and the good thing about recovery is that I don't have to use no matter what. It is never somebody else's fault that I use. Once I get these tools, I can't blame nobody else.
Right.
Now, can I enter into difficult situations that put me at a high risk for falling off? Absolutely I can. But I can't blame anybody. It's my fault that whether I stay clean or not.
Right.
And so I can't rationalize or justify my behavior.
That's right.
You know, like the old saying men used to say, you know what, the reason why I cheat is because you didn't cook, or you wasn't nice to me, or you didn't, you know, y'all heard that line? They're like, no, you cheat because you're a cheater. You didn't cheat because, you know, I found out if somebody's a cheater, you can't be nice enough to them for them not to cheat. They cheat because they cheat.
That's right.
You know, I went out and got high because I went out and got high. It wasn't nobody's fault, but if you allow me and listen to me long enough, I can come up with enough reasons to where you'll feel guilty about it and change your behavior. You know, you be saying, well, he went out and used because there's family members, y'all gotta stop believing that. Don't buy that. But if you listen to us long enough, we'll convince you it's your fault. Staying busy. By distracting ourselves, we won't have to deal with it. And a lot of times we try that. Just get caught up in the busyness of life and think these things are going to go away. That don't work either. Getting a job and working overtime and all of that stuff, all you're doing is just piling up stuff to go and sell or give away. And that's what we try to do, is we try to stay busy. No, staying busy ain't gonna stop you from using, because that root gonna keep growing back and it's gonna come back. We gotta deal with that. That's why we're in this long-term treatment center. You have 6 months. And that's a long time. You know how I know it's a long time? Because when I met you, that's what you told me. Yeah, and what you told me day one. I don't know if I can commit to this. That's a long time. Right? Ain't that what y'all said? I don't know. Is it a 30-day part to this? Is it a 90-day part to this? Because 6 months is a what? Long time. So what that means is you got enough time to deal with all of that stuff. And family members, don't you believe that we have them so busy that they can't work on their recovery. Because if they can't work on this, guess what? They won't be able to come home and handle their responsibilities at home. Because now they're going to have a job, they're going to have to deal with the kids, they're going to have to mow the yard, they're going to have to get the car fixed, they're going to have to clean up, they're going to have to cook, they're going to do all of that. Because that's what normal people do. And they still got to work a program. And they still got to meet with their sponsor. And they still got to go to meetings. So ain't nobody busy around here. This is as stripped down as life will ever be. That's why I don't never buy that. Oh, I was so busy. You ain't busy. You ain't doing nothing. You ain't doing nothing. Not that we don't have a schedule that's full, but once they leave, they got to implement all of this other stuff in life to it and still do all of this stuff. So they ain't that busy. Repeating the behavior. Often abuse is handed down generation to generation. Habits, or we get them from our past. And plus, y'all, we got a genetic predisposition. What does that mean? That it's just like diabetes or high blood pressure or cancer or something like that. If it runs in your family, that's why when we go to the doctor, the first thing that they do is start asking about our family history. Because what they want to try to figure out is, do some of these issues run in your family? Well, my mother was an alcoholic. I don't know whether I got this thing hereditarily. I don't know where I got it, whether I got it from my environment, from the things I was socialized into it. I don't know. I don't know if I used my way through the 3 phases that we're going to talk about next week, which phase 1 is a casual user. Phase 2 is an abuser. Phase 3 is the chronic stage of our addiction. Those are the phases. But we can get this thing genetically, we can get it environmentally or socially, or we can just use our way through. And it's not that important that we figure out how we got it. It's only one of the reasons why it is important. If you got it genetically, it's a high possibility that your children have the gene of addiction. And so that's why we got to tell the truth. And a lot of times we don't want to tell our kids about the severity of our addiction. No one is asking you to tell your children all of the gutter stuff you've done out there, but what you do need to tell them is it's a high possibility that you could have this gene of addiction. So you be careful. And if you find yourself drinking abnormally, let's try to work on it in the early stages. You know, we get clean and we don't want to tell them. We want them just to think that it's nothing. But in the behavior part, most abusers abuse, right? Yeah. And so a lot of us have abused or been abused. That don't mean that you're going to abuse somebody. It just means that you have that tendency because that's what you have been taught. Right. You know, you know, I can remember just sitting down and when my son was small, like 3 and 4, if I crossed my hands, he crossed his hands. You know, I do something, he was trying to mimic me and do what I do. And I was like, wow, this joker watching me. I need to be careful. You know, but if he can watch me and get those behaviors, guess what? He picked up some other behaviors too that I didn't necessarily want him to see. That's how we learn to drink. We learn to celebrate because that's how we were taught to celebrate. We learn how to go through stress because that's how we was learned how to go through stress. I got that socially because I grew up around that. When something good happened, you celebrate with alcohol. Somebody died, you go to the funeral, so you get drunk. You ain't got nothing else to do and you bored, you drink. I learned that. So I had to relearn how to deal with life. That's the hardest part, Cutler, when we come through here, is now what do I do with myself? You know, we end up being a couch potato because we don't know how to go out and navigate through life because we just think, you know what? How am I going to go out? I was talking to a brother the other day about something as simple as fishing. He said, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go fishing. Like, why, man? He said, shoot, every time I went fishing, I had a cooler full of beer. I said, me too, man. I used to love to fish. But when I stopped drinking, fishing wasn't as fun. Without a case of beer. Yeah. You know, I get around my 8th or 9th beer, I wouldn't care whether I caught any fish or not. You know. That's right. But to just go out there and sit, ain't no fish. If they don't start jumping into the boat within 30 minutes, I'm ready to go. They just start jumping on the bank. I don't have any patience, but when I was drinking, I could sit out there all day, and whether I caught any fish or not. So I'm trying to learn, still at 24 years clean, how to do some things without drugs and alcohol. Underlying core issues are like splinters. Imagine you have a splinter deep in your leg. Your body is perfectly capable of healing over the splinter while it remains in place. In fact, healing can become so complete that it is no longer visible and you forget all about it. But let the slightest pressure hit that spot, and your pain returns anew and worse than before. And that's what happens with these core issues. A lot of this stuff, it has healed over, and we think that it's gone. And it's not until we bump up against life or get into a situation that's similar, and then all of that garbage come back. What I have found is this, y'all. It is so unfair for me to go out and get in new relationships and get new jobs and deal with new issues and involve other people into my life, new people, if I don't take the time to deal with my issues. And I done healed over, and I done got me 4 or 5 months or a couple of years clean, but I know I haven't done any work. And then I go out and get this new mate, have new children, and all of this stuff go away. We really need a sign. Beware, haven't done work, dangerous. Yeah, but we don't have a sign. And so people don't know. I've seen some of the guys since we've been doing this for a while, and you'll see them and they be on like their 5th or 6th relationship, and they damage them all because they never took time to deal with it, and they just get in this new relationship and they have a string of broken and crying women because they never healed. And they just took that, they clean up for a while, go to one of these places, get themselves together, and look good, and then go out and hurt new people. You know, so we got to be careful with that. Involving people in our lives before we do the hard work. That's why they tell us, don't get into a meaningful relationship the first year. Why? Because I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not emotionally ready. And I tell people it's like fried chicken. That's my best illustration for that. And a lot of us done battered our chicken up and got the grease too hot, and we throw it in the pot, and it be crispy golden brown, but when you bite into it, it be bloody because we cooked it too fast. It look good on the inside, but it be bloody on the, it looks good on the outside, but it's bloody on the inside. Excuse me. Thank you, sister. She helped me out. She said, no, that's not right. And that's what happens to us. Because we come into the program and we ain't used for 30 days, and the average weight gain around here in 4 months is about 40 pounds. So guess what? In 3-4 months, I look good. I done gained my weight back. Herman done made me run the hill. I done learned 2 or 3 scriptures and 2 or 3 quotes out of the book. So I can fool somebody into thinking that I got this thing down because I look good again. I sound good again. And you be like, okay, you back. No, you might better beware. You might better beware. But on the inside, I'm still bloody. I just cook too fast. This is the way an underlying core issue affects our lives. We try hard to mask the symptoms, hoping they will heal over the course, and of course, and cause us more pain. But in truth, this isn't so. An underlying core issue is waiting just to breathe. The surface, I'm sorry. And so what happens is, y'all, I'm sorry about that, but what happens is just like what I said, it's like that splinter. And it keeps coming back. And so I don't want y'all to talk about the ones that we said that would debilitate our lives. I want somebody to name a couple of the ones that you just seen that ain't real deep and dark. Come on, sister, name one of the ones you had. Everybody think of one. You're gonna speak up loud quickly. It's gonna take 30 minutes. Take your hand out your mouth. Come on, go.
Frustration.
Frustration. Don't wait till I get to you. Start thinking now. Anger. Loneliness. Unforgiveness. Lying. Come on, so let's take your hand out your mouth. Speak up. Holler. Self-centeredness.
Loneliness.
Loneliness. And those were some of the core issues that we talked about. It's just those things. Anger issues, loneliness,
Yeah.
you know, just stuff like that. And it takes us out and we got to deal with it. But guess what? That comes from somewhere.
That's right.
If somebody has an anger issue, it's rooted in something.
That's right.
If somebody has an abandonment issue, it's rooted in something. And you can't deal with the surface issue if you don't deal with where that comes from. Or you continue to be angry.
Yeah.
You know, I read in this book one time, it says when people are angry, the best question to ask them is, who hurt you?
Yeah.
Because it sure wasn't me.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
who hurt you?
Yeah.
Who hurt you? Because you're angry.
Yeah.
You know, you get into a relationship with somebody and they, you know, it plays itself out real well in dating relationships. You know, just met this person, you've been with them a month, and they sneaking through your phone and calling you 19 times and watching you parked out in front of your house. You be like, whoa, what happened?
Yeah.
See, that person been hurt.
Yeah.
And they got their mind made up that whatever happened to them in the past ain't gonna happen no more. That's a sign, y'all. You know that. You meet somebody and you ain't known them but 2 weeks and they checking your phone and following you around, parked out in front of your house. They be like, you know what? Maybe
Yeah.
I may not want to deal with you
Yeah.
because you got some issues
Yeah.
from the past that
That's
you need
right.
to take some time and heal.
That's right.
But in the other areas, we don't see them as well. But we're not on our 4th, 5th treatment center, and we don't have some deep core issues.
Wow.
And it's not that they can just stop drinking or using. They got to put the hard work in
That's
to
right.
get down to the root cause and conditioning
That's right.
of the issue. Other than that, they're going to continue to use.
Yep.
It's like they used to say in the country, it's like putting lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
It's still a pig, right?
Yeah.
When I was about 9 or 10, I was sharing with the class this week. You know, I guess I was allergic to water. I think that's something kind of most boys go through. I wasn't really allergic to water. But my mama would buy me a brand new outfit, and I go in there, I run that water, and I stick my feet in it to make her think that I'm bathing and put them clothes on and put some cologne on. And she like, baby, you can't put new clothes and cologne on top of funk. Because funk gonna come through there. You're gonna have to bathe. But I would be in such a hurry to put them new clothes on, it's just like that bathing was gonna take too long.
Yeah.
You know, some of y'all mothers have had boys, and y'all know, I think we're allergic to water around 12 or 13 or something. It's not until we find some little girl attractive, then we go to bathing. But until then, we're allergic to water. And she tells me, no, baby. And that's what we do. We put on all of this newfound spirituality and all of this newfound recovery on top of all of that stuff. And it just gets through.
Wow.
And so you can't put no lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. Right?
Yeah.
You can't put them new clothes and cologne on until you bathe or that funk will come through. You know, now that I've had a couple of sons, boy, some of our sweat, no bathing, and cologne ain't a pretty picture. Right? It ain't too cute.
That's right.
But I know none of y'all men done that. Y'all was all bathing at 12 and 13. It was just me. Probably that's an East Texas country thing. Y'all city slippers didn't do that. He didn't do that, did he? His brother? There's always one. Identifying and healing underlying core issues. Identifying underlying core issues require a straightforward technique which can be mastered. Straightforward, we just gotta go straight at it, y'all. And we be so afraid it's gonna hurt or it's gonna take too long that we try to dance around the issue. You gotta be blunt. And that's one of the hardest parts about this program is because we're straightforward here,
That's right.
you know. And so nobody here is we don't have flowery words. I was trying to find the proper way. We just going to say some things.
Yeah.
But because what I have figured out is I have one or two ways I can deal with this. I am so invested in trying to help your family member save their lives that sometimes I gotta hurt their feelings. Because if I spend too much time trying not to hurt their feelings, I may lose their life.
Yeah.
And so I go straight to it and just say it.
Yeah.
I don't have command of the English language enough, or I don't have time. I just go and say it. Because y'all done already tried the flowery words. Y'all have already begged them. Y'all have already pleaded with them.
That's right.
Y'all done prayed for them.
That's right.
Y'all done tried all of the niceness.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not my job. Y'all didn't send them here for me to be nice. We're not abusive, but I'm just gonna tell you, man, you're lying.
Yeah, you're not.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Do this or get out.
Yeah.
That's how we roll.
That's how we roll.
Straightforward. Because we don't have time for that. You know, I tell them all the time, this is the adult rehabilitation ministry. The key word in there is adult.
Yeah.
They grown. I'm not dealing with, now see, if I was dealing with her, see, she cute, I had to, oh, would you please get your work done? All right, try to bring your homework tomorrow. With a 50-year-old dude?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now come on, man. Come on, man. That ain't a 50-year-old woman. That ain't, come on now. You gonna do this? But we see you the next time.
That's right.
And they always come back.
That's right.
Always come back. You know, we'll see you again.
Yeah.
I've had people that I've been a part of this program since 1989. And I have seen brothers come back and forth all 28 years because they won't do the work. It is, I think, less painful to go on and do the hard work of treatment than to go in and out of treatment for 20-some years. Now, that's hard.
That's all.
Been out there on them streets, that's hard. And it don't matter who you are. I've talked to 2 wives this morning of clients that have come through here. One brother show up, he's a pastor of the church. Third church since I've known him that he's got. And I've only known him for 4 years.
Wow.
Drunk as a Cooter Brown. I don't know who Cooter Brown is, my mom used to say that. And brother won't stop.
Wow.
And tomorrow, he'll be preaching in front of a congregation in the morning.
Wow.
Wail!
Yeah.
Wail!
Yeah.
Wail!
Yeah.
Because he good.
Yeah.
Just can't say so. It's no respect of person. No matter how talented you are, no matter what, it crosses all lines.
Yeah.
You got to do the work. Hope that makes sense to you.
Oh, yeah.
It is as simple as taking a current emotional reaction, and riding it back in time to the first time you remember feeling that way. And that's what we got to do. We got to chase that thing back. And sometimes it was just simple things, you know, that people said. You know, I want to call her name. This lady, you know, I was drinking some water. I never will forget this. And she said, boy, you must be the dumbest thing in the world. You must got 2 holes in your mouth. You don't waste all this water. You know? She scarred me. She didn't mean no harm. She's a nice lady. But, man, I never will forget that. You must got 2 holes in your mouth. What she said? I was only about 8. outside playing, and I'm thirsty, and I was drinking it too fast, and wasted that water on the table. She wasn't having that. Scarred me.
Yeah.
Scarred me. And we got to trace some of our low self-esteem and some of our anger all the way back. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Because it's connected. Now, she didn't mean no harm.
Yeah.
I just took it that way.
That's right.
You know, so I already had, little self-esteem issues. And what she said scarred me.
Yeah.
My whole point is we don't only look for major trauma. Like a lot of times we'll say, oh, I was never sexually molested. I've never been abandoned. I came up in a two-parent home, so I didn't have all of that stuff. You can still be hurt
That's right.
and still have trauma. It's not what happened. It's your response to what happened. That makes sense?
Yeah.
It's how you responded to it. One of my core issues was this. I was abused, but not abused in the way y'all may think. I was the only child. My mom and dad was married 19 years before they had a child.
Wow.
And so, after 19 years of marriage, you kind of gave up on that. And then bam, a miracle happened.
Yeah.
And I was the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
My feet probably didn't touch the ground for 6 years. And they spoiled me.
Yeah.
And so I went into life thinking other people was going to treat me like my mom treated me.
Right.
And y'all don't think I'm as special as she did. I really don't think it's nothing wrong with me. I think it's something wrong with y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all just I don't understand how y'all people don't see
Yeah.
me that special.
Yeah.
And she didn't tell me that wasn't nobody gonna think that about me but her.
That's right.
And so I was ill-equipped for life. And I read in one book, the guy says that children who were spoiled is like taking a wild animal, like a lion or something, and raise them in the zoo, and then take them and put them back in the jungle.
Yeah.
They're ill-equipped
That's right.
to hunt and to defend themselves, and they die early.
That's right.
Well, that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
My mom didn't prepare me for hunting
Yeah.
and survival.
Yeah.
She gave me everything. Shoot, I was 15 years old. I didn't have to make my bed up. I didn't have to do nothing.
Wow.
I didn't have to clean up. I didn't not to wash, not to do none of that. Because I was Pearl Bus's son. I was special.
Wow.
She done that.
Wow.
And guess what? Ain't now nobody done all of that stuff for
That's
me.
right.
No more.
That's right.
And we'll say this and I'll move on. I knew it was something wrong because after relationship, I heard one common thing. I ain't your mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Learn to hurry.
I wasn't looking for a girlfriend or a wife. I was looking for a mama.
My mom.
There's some other men in here. They ain't looking
That's
for
right.
no girlfriend or
That's
wife.
right.
They ain't looking for a mama.
That's right.
I don't be knowing how to respond. Shoot, last night I was sitting down and, me and my wife got this thing that one cooked, the other one washed. And shoot, I was just sitting there and, she said, you expected magic or something? You know what you're talking about? You gonna wash some dishes? And I'm like, wow. And I said, see, my mama would have got up
Yeah.
and washed them. I didn't say that because I got a whole bunch of other stuff. But,
Yeah.
she would have done that.
Yeah. You've done that.
Yeah. That's abuse too, y'all.
Yeah.
I bet you're not the only one in here
That's right.
that suffered
That's right.
that abuse.
That's right.
I had an 18-year-old son, soon will be 19. He was raised in a house with two sisters, and my girls are self-sufficient, and since he was the baby,
Yeah.
he got a little of that too.
Yeah.
Got a tad bit of laziness in that, brother.
Yeah.
And his mama, and his sisters, and his daddy all got a part in that.
All got for it.
Yeah, that's abuse too. The reason I say that is we look for the trauma and we don't know that abuse or being ill-equipped for life can come in a whole bunch of different forms.
Right.
You know, shoot, we have to mow around here. It's amazing that we'll have 20 dudes in the program and hardly nobody can string a weed eater.
Wow.
Shoot, family member, we had our handyman over at the house, and one of the brothers asked me, "Oh, we gonna get the handyman to put the light bulb?" I tried hard not to cuss. I probably fell off. Probably. No. Because I think if you got 20 men, you ought to be able to fix almost everything around here. But that ain't the case. My brother said, we're going to get the handyman to put the light bulbs in. That's funny, isn't it? He was probably raised by the same woman I was raised with, because that would be my thinking too. I had to tell my wife, I said, look now, you know, I'm coming into this thing. You have to realize, you know, I'm a loving guy, I work hard, but when it comes to most things that most men can do, I really don't know how, because I didn't have to do them. And so, but I'm really good at calling repair people. And I know quite a few. So if you're expecting me to know how to do that just because I'm a man, I don't know how. I'm just a tad bit better than that brother. I can change a light bulb. Although I went over to the church to try to help them change one of those fluorescent lights this past week and found out I don't know how to do that. So I'm probably in the same bracket as that brother. That ain't good. But I know where it come from. I know where it come from.
Yeah.
It come from that I just wasn't equipped. So where do you feel it in your body? And so what it's talking about is, where do you see that? Where did it come from? And the whole point is, y'all, in closing, as mentioned above, a simple and elegant process allows the underlying core issues to be identified and healed. The splinter is gently removed so healing can once and for all be complete. We do recover. You just got to do the hard work. And we got to find those core issues, and we got to deal with them. Step 6 said we're entirely ready. Step 7 says we humbly ask him. And so when we get there, first I got to get ready. I'll end with this. You ever had a splinter or something? Or, you know, I'm in the country, so we would had them cuckoo bugs and stuff, and you know, we run through there, and you'll say, pull it out, and they pull it. No, wait. Right? Say, pull it out. No, wait. Because you got to get ready for that, you know, to do that. And then they can pull it out. But if I ain't ready, I ain't gonna never let you pull it out. As soon as your hands get close to it, I'm gonna go to pulling back. That's what we do in here with our core issues. And so that's what happens.